Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. So today's video is something that I've been wanting to make a video on for a while, and it just never came out the way I wanted it to every time I filmed it. So we're gonna give it another go. Side note, if you hear any weird noises or if I'm like looking over there or talking quietly all of a sudden, my daughter is out in the hallway in her little bassinet. I tried to keep her far enough away so I wasn't too loud, but I mean, she's sleeping, so I obviously have to check on her every now and then. But anyways, so the video for today is gonna be on life as a military spouse. So this video, they're just things that you may possibly go through, and just some tips to help you go through that, and they kind of go hand in hand. Now, they're not going to apply to everybody, obviously, because there's different branches that people's spouses are in. They have different MOSs, different duty stations, all that kind of stuff will impact if this really applies to you or not. So yeah, I'll just kind of get started. So me personally, I've been a military spouse for almost 3 years, and I knew nothing about military life before marrying my husband. You know, I knew one Army spouse, but I didn't really know what she went through, like what her husband did so much. I mean, we don't just sit around and talk about this kind of stuff. And I didn't really know anyone specifically who was in the military, so I don't know what they did. So my mind going into the military was the only time your spouse would be away was if they were deployed. That's honestly what I thought. I mean, I grew up completely separate from the military. Also, I just knew that you would move every few years. So that's all I really knew about the military. So I learned a few things, and I wanted to just share those things with you guys, and hopefully it'll be something that'll help someone who is gonna be marrying someone in the military, or someone who just married someone in the military, or someone just looking for knowledge or whatever. So the first thing that I want to touch on is that your spouse may possibly be gone for way more often than you would expect. Like I said, take in mind with everything that I say, this is based off of what your spouse does. So this may not be the case. Your spouse may be there every day, and your spouse may be gone way more than I'm saying. But going into being married to my husband, I did not know how often that they would go train, you know, how often that they would go, you know, do all this stuff, because they obviously have to train for their job. I just not know how often they would have to do that. I'm not saying that they're, you know, leaving the country and stuff. They may be right down the street, but they won't be with you. So it's not like, oh, we're married and we're going to be together forever unless you get deployed, like my men thought. That's not the case. They could be gone like for 2 weeks to go train 5 minutes away or on base, but they're still gonna be gone. So just that's one thing to expect if that's not something you knew, is that there is a possibility that they'll be gone a lot more. And so to go with that is some tips that I have to help get through any time that your spouse is not there. Now these are things that help me, so that's why I'm giving you them as tips. So the two things that helped me the most when my husband was gone, the first one was having a job. So I worked part-time, and then I moved into a full-time position at my job when we lived in Hawaii. There was only about 2 months that I didn't work, and one of the months we were living with friends of ours, so I had people to hang out with. Then the next month we were just kind of getting settled into our house. But I would definitely say, if you want to, you don't have to work. Obviously everyone's situation is different. Some people don't want to work, which is fine. I don't judge you. Some people have kids, can't work, or other reasons, which I totally understand. But if you can and you want to, definitely work, because it gives you something to do, so you're not just sitting around if your spouse is gone, whether they're gone for a day, a week, 5 weeks, 5 months, whatever. It'll give you something to do, and it also helps you get out and mingle. I mean, I'm not saying you have to be best friends with your coworkers, but I met a lot of my good friends back on the island through my work. Honestly, I met more people who I hung out with through my work than I did that were military spouses. So that is the first thing, is definitely try and get something to occupy you. So get a job, maybe even get a hobby, or, you know, whatever. The second thing I would say that really helped is just having close military wife friends. Now, you don't have to be friends with military spouses if you don't want to. I was only really close with a very few, because honestly, just like side note, some military spouses are crazy. There's so much drama. I don't know if anyone else realizes that, but I definitely realized that there's so much drama. It was ridiculous. I didn't want to be a part of that. I mean, I'm out of high school, do not want to deal with that anymore. But there were a few beautiful gems within all these crazy people that I got really close with. I actually met my best friend. Our husbands were together stationed there. So I only had a few. Most of them were wives of men that my husband worked with. So anytime that my husband was gone, their husband was gone, so we were able to hang out. I'm not saying that you can only hang out with people when their husbands are gone, because that's stupid, but it was nice to have, you know, someone where it's like, gosh, my husband's gone, what do I do? I don't want to disturb someone and their husband. Hey, my friend husband is gone, so maybe we can go do something, so we're both, you know, hanging out together and we're both not lonely. We can, you know, have girl time, if that makes sense. I think I just rambled in a circle. So definitely, whether or not their husbands work with your husbands or whatever, definitely get some friends. If they're military spouses, that's awesome. If their husbands work with your husbands, even more awesome, because like I said, you guys' husbands may be gone at the same time, so you guys can keep each other company while they're gone, or just make friends through your work and just, you know, have people to hang out with. You don't have to have a lot of people, but just have some people to hang out with to keep you occupied. Or so if you're sitting in the house like, I don't want to be here right now, you can go out, go to someone else's house, or if you just feel like doing something and your spouse isn't there and you don't want to go alone, they can go with you. So those are the two things that helped me the most when my spouse was gone. So working or having a hobby, and then having a few good friends who were there if I ever needed someone. So the next thing that I want to share that I realized is that when your spouse is in the military, they pretty much are owned by the military. And this sounds so bad, but honestly, there's no easier way to put it. When you sign a contract into the military, you are pretty much signing your life away for that portion of time, and you can't get out of it unless they let you out of it, or unless you go AWOL and go to jail. So you have your two options. Now, it is like a contract. It's not like when we go get a job as civilians and I can quit whenever I want. I can call them up and be like, I quit, I don't want to come into work today, or I'm sick, I don't want to come into work today, whatever. You can't just walk out on their job. If they're sick, they have to go into work, and the work has to tell them that they're sick. Seriously, they do that. And if you want to go on vacation, you have to clear it through the military. Like, everything has to be cleared through them. And like I said, they can't just up and say, I don't want to go to work today, or I'm done with this, I quit. They can't do that. So know that, for one, which everyone should know that. But the reason why I say this is because the military is going to run your spouse's life for the period of time that they're in, and this may possibly affect you. Now, it really didn't affect us so much, like we never had any crazy experiences, but pretty much if you are out and about, let's say you have a nice date night and you're at the movies, you're out to dinner, and they call them up and they say, you need to come into work. And guess what? They have to go into work right then and there. They don't care what you guys are doing. That doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if they call your spouse into work, your spouse has to go into work whether or not they want to. I mean, they can try and get out of it, but at the end of the day, if they say, no, you're coming in, you're coming in, no matter what day, no matter what hour, no matter what you're doing, they don't care. That is something that I feel like everyone needs to know going in, is that expect for stuff to possibly happen like that. And this may make you angry because you're like, well, I'm the spouse's number one, like, why are they gonna mess with my life? The military isn't messing with your life directly, they're messing with your spouse's life, which is in turn gonna affect you, but you should just know this. So while your spouse is in the military, pretty much it's military first, you're second, and that's not really their choice, but that's just how it works. Like I said, you may not run into this problem. We never ran into this problem. I was never out and my husband had to go back to work. Like, nothing, none of that ever happened. There might have been a few times in the middle of the night where he might have had to gone in. I don't really remember. But nothing that really was ever like, I'm so tired of this. But just know that there is always a possibility that they may have to be called into work at a moment's notice or whatever, and there's absolutely nothing that they can do about it. There's nothing that you can do about it, and so you should just let it go. But it is possibly frustrating. But yeah, so that's something to know, is that they own your spouse's life until they get out of the military, and they pretty much tell them exactly what to do, when to do it, and that's just the way it is. My tip, I would say, to help deal with that is to just not stress about it and try your hardest to not get frustrated. It's going to be frustrating, but honestly, at the end of the day, like I said, you can't do anything about it and they can't do anything about it. So just expect this to possibly happen, and then you won't be as upset if it does happen. But you just have to realize that that is their number one priority right now, and when they get out, you'll be their number one priority and your family. But for the time being, they just kind of run stuff. I don't want to say that in a bad way, that like your spouse is like you're second in your spouse's like order, like the military comes first and you come second. Not in a bad way, it's just the honest truth. My husband doesn't love me any less. It's not like he loves the military more than me. It's just that when it comes to like how stuff comes down. If it was like you need to go to work or you need to go out with me, like he has to go to work. So it's not their choice that the military comes first, but it's just the way things are. Just wanted to point that out so I don't sound, you know, like an asshole. And back to the tip on that, to add in, don't be one of those spouses who wants to go and like yell at their like higher ups or like the super, like the general or the commander or whatever, because that's only going to get your spouse in trouble. I'm going to be completely honest. And I know that like a lot of wives do this, or like they want to do this, and I totally understand that people want to do that, but like stuff gets really frustrating. But let your spouse handle their work and what they have to deal with, because if you try and go handle their work and what they have to do with, you really just get them in trouble, and then people just think you're crazy. Even though we as spouses are only trying to look out for the best for our husbands and wives, which I totally understand you want to do that, but I would never go into my husband's work because like something happened and it made me mad, or I feel like it's unfair. I would never go there and yell at them about that, because that's not my place. And it, like I said, it's not like a normal job. If my daughter was working somewhere and I went into her work and yelled at them, they're not going to be happy, and two, she might be fired because of me. And that's the same thing with them, is that if you go into their work and yell at them, it's even more severe, because the military, like everything is very like strict in a sense. So yeah, I would say don't go trying to fix your spouse's problems. Let them fix it the best that they can, and let them deal with all that, because you'll probably just make it worse if you try and deal with it. That's just the way it is. So those are like the two major things that I didn't know that I would want someone to have told me, if someone could have told me, is that, you know, your spouse may be gone more and the military is most likely going to come first. Also, make sure that you're not secluding yourself from like everything. You know, get out. If you're not comfortable with, you know, military spouses and stuff, you know, go out and meet some civilian people. And yeah, like don't be alone, because you're going to be moving away from your family most likely, and you're gonna feel like you're alone. So just make sure that you don't kind of like sit yourself in that little bubble. It's gonna be really miserable. And finally, just one more thing I would like to say is that at the end of the day, I think that our biggest responsibility as military spouses is just to make sure that we support our spouses 100%, and just let them know that no matter what's gonna happen, because a lot of crazy stuff is gonna happen and you're gonna get mad and frustrated, and this is on top of just having a normal relationship. Just know that that is our biggest thing that we can do for them, especially being in the military, is just support them, because they're gonna go through a lot of stress and a lot of stuff, and they should know that we support them through everything. And if they're gone for a long period of time, yes, you can be sad, but just we don't want them to ever feel like we're a burden, or they're burdening us with, you know, being in the military life. Because let's be honest, going into it, you should kind of have an idea, you know, moving around and whatnot, but it is, in a sense, it can be a lot to handle. Coming from me, someone who is super stressed, and it drives my husband crazy. So I would like to give advice to everybody else. Yes, it's going to stress you out, but try not to like freak out about everything, because it's only going to stress your spouse out as well, and that's not something you want to do, especially on top of everything that they have to deal with. It is human nature though. At the end of the day, like I said, I am super stressed and frustrated. I'm one of those people who just, everything drives me crazy. And let's be honest, you make a lot of friends along the way, because I definitely have made some great friends along the way. And you know, just enjoy wherever you are, you know, wherever you get stationed, just enjoy it. Even if you hate it, enjoy it the best as you can, because you're not gonna be there forever and it's a free ride. That is everything I have for you guys today. I really hope that this video helped you guys at least like a little bit, and I hope I was not rambling all over the place. I just kind of want to give my insight on what I've gone through, and kind of what I would hope that someone could have told me marrying into my husband. Not that I regret it, not at all. Kind of just to get an idea of what you're going to be getting into, just so then you're not, you know, thrust into something and then all of a sudden you're just mad and sad and crazy all the time because you had no idea what was going to happen after you got married or moved or whatever. So I just hope that this helps somebody. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any more questions that I did not touch on, or just something that you just have a question about in general, go ahead and leave it in the comments below and I will get back to you. And if there are a lot of questions, I can just make a whole nother video. I'm thinking of making a video about PCSing as well, possibly, because I've gone through one PCS, and then when I moved to Hawaii after me and my husband got married, they moved just me, not my husband. He was already there, but they moved all my stuff through the military. So that's it's kind of a really similar process. It's not exactly a PCS. It was like my own personal little PCS of just me. But then we did PCS back to where we are now. So if that is something you guys are interested in, definitely let me know. Or if there's any other videos you'd like me to make, go ahead and let me know down in the comments down below. And give this video a thumbs up. Make sure that you subscribe to my channel as well, and I'll also leave my information for my Snapchat and my Instagram in the description box, so you guys can go follow me on those. And that's everything I have for you, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.